The Hobbit trilogy is loved by almost everyone. And why not? Epic action, incredible cutting-edge special effects, deep, lovable characters. And the Battle of Five Armies is no exception. When you couple these traits with the film's political neutrality so that no one's offended, you've got a winning combination. I was offended. Incompetent governments, intermarriage without actually covering an oppressed minority, the inherent shame in cross-dressing, the depravity of human nature, the positive perspective on war. I mean, what's to love? You're watching Sin POL. So maybe The Hobbit isn't quite so easygoing as it first seems. Maybe Tolkien's Roman Catholic background actually fit right into Peter Jackson's right-leaning directorial style. But come on, The Hobbit was a children's novel. How political can it get? There's a lot I could address here. A lot. But I'm only going to focus on two main themes that help explain the Battle of Five Armies' political message. Those two themes being corruption and correction. So first off, what do the left and the right believe about corruption? We've talked about this before here at Sin POL, and the fact is that most of a person's political orientation stems from what they believe about human nature. Conservatives usually believe that human nature is inherently evil, and liberals believe that human nature is inherently good. Liberals are usually of the optimistic opinion that, given the great opportunity to do so, people will do the right thing, because there is goodness inside of them to accomplish it. One prime example of this is seen in the last Harry Potter film, when Harry is standing victorious at Hogwarts, holding the single most powerful wand in the world in his hand, the Elder Wand. As he looks at the wand, realizing now that, as Ron put it, we'd be invincible, he makes the noble decision to break it and throw it away, realizing its potential to create a tyrant and oppression. Harry, as a child, is not yet victim to the corrupting influences in his world, and naturally wants what is in his fellow man's best interest. Guardians of the Galaxy is a film that takes this concept even a step further when it thrusts criminals from every walk of crime into the incredible position of being the only possible saviors of the galaxy. In this film, when the Guardians come into possession of the Infinity Stone and absolute power, even these vagabonds inherently have it inside them to rise to the occasion, to first use the stone to defeat the bad guy, then responsibly turn the stone over to the government for safekeeping, proving themselves one with the good-natured interest of mankind. Conservative films, on the other hand, like to live by a creed which states that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the Battle of Five Armies has this creed written all over it. In the film, after Smaug the Dragon is slain, we first look to Thorin. When we see Thorin, he is consumed by the riches and power of his newfound kingdom under the mountain. Even when the dragon-wasted people of Lake Town come to Thorin for help, he is unmoved, incapable of rising to the occasion to help his fellow man with his newfound position of power. He is naturally corrupted by his new power because there is evil inside of him ripe for corruption. Even the elves, a noble and upright race, when faced with the now vulnerable riches, are willing to go to war and to kill in order to get their part of the new wealth. The story is full of supposedly good people having the worst drawn out of them because there is an evil nature inside of them to draw from. And if you doubt that Tolkien intended to depict human nature in such a dim light, referencing that in fact Bilbo did forfeit his entire portion of the treasure in the Battle of Five Armies so that he could try to promote peace instead of war, let's not forget what happened in the Fellowship of the Ring when Bilbo was in fact endowed with his own portion of power. Action-adventure, my foot, this is a horror film, and for that shot alone, The Ring is Tolkien's greatest example of how power corrupts all human nature. And the pinnacle of this depiction is when Frodo, holding the Ring of Power over the Mountain of Doom, the only place where it can be destroyed, does not do the responsible thing and throw it away. He falls to the occasion and takes it for himself, almost destroying all of Middle-earth. And this brings us to our last point of political consideration when discussing The Hobbit, and that is, how then does this evil get corrected? How does good ultimately prevail? In liberal films, good prevails because people dig deep. Look at Harry Potter. What made Harry decide to responsibly throw away the Elder Wand? Introspection. Harry just had to look inside of himself and ask what he should do. And he did it. The power of goodness was inside of him to empower the destruction of the wand. Look at Guardians of the Galaxy. What made the Guardians decide to risk everything and try to save the world? A pep talk. They had a conference and dug deep till they found the personal strength to do the right thing. But how does good prevail in The Hobbit? Actually, it almost doesn't. Thorin is unable on his own to relinquish his power, and it is not until the external force of Gandalf's advice and the timely arrival of an orc army forces Thorin to see the error of his ways and finally fight for the good of all. In The Lord of the Rings, things are even dimmer, as Frodo never does decide to destroy the Ring of Power. It is only when the external force of Gollum comes into the picture and accidentally destroys the ring that the world is saved. In both cases, it is external forces which come into the picture, forcing righteousness to be implemented. This is very much in line with conservative thinking. Whether conservatives observe this worldview in the form of religion, in that Christ came as our external force to counterbalance our evil human natures, or whether they observe it politically, in the form of governments with multiple branches which act as each other's external forces, checking and balancing each other against any one branch of government becoming absolutely powerful. In the end, whether you go and see the Battle of Five Armies for the cutting-edge special effects, the epic action, the deep, lovable characters, or pessimistic depression, remember that there is also a pretty deep political agenda at play as well. Remember to think critically. To think for yourself.